Good evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra and let's begin with the headlines at this hour. Stock markets rally in the last hour of trade. Nifty is now within touching distance of the 20,000 mark. Sensex gains nearly 500 points. Reliance spins off its financial services business. Jio Financial valued at about $20 billion as stock exchanges hold a special one-hour session for price discovery. Market values one share of Jio Financial at nearly 262 rupees, which is much higher than analyst estimates. Infosys meets estimates in the first quarter, but hands a sharp cut to its full-year growth outlook from 4 to 7%, earlier to just 1 to 3.5%. Infosys ADR tumbles in trade. FMCG giant HUL marginally misses estimates in quarter one. Net profit sees a growth of 8%. Underlying volume growth is at 3%. Government imposes a ban on non-basmati rice exports to bring down domestic prices. India accounts for 40% of global rice trade and global prices are likely to shoot higher. The move comes days after a flood hits many rice-growing states in the country. Market regulator SEBI likely to issue a new consultation paper on total expense ratio for mutual funds within a week. Sources say significant changes are likely. Industry had requested for the exclusion of GST and securities transaction be excluded from expense ratio calculation. The Supreme Court takes suo motu cognizance of the video showing two women being paraded naked and sexually assaulted in Manipur. Chief Justice Chandrachud says if the government does not act, the court will. 78 days after the incident, Manipur's chief minister says one person has been arrested. Government orders Twitter and social media platforms to remove the video. Prime Minister Modi says the Manipur incident has shamed the country and the guilty will not be spared. This is his first comment about the violence in the state, which began 2 months ago. Opposition parties demand Manipur chief minister's resignation. Parliament adjourned without any business on the first day of the monsoon session. Netflix subscriptions jump 8% and revenue rises 3% as password sharing crackdown takes hold. The password sharing restrictions take effect in India starting today. Meanwhile, EV giant Tesla posts record quarterly revenue, but operating margins drop below 10%. Rain alert across several Indian states. At least 16 people are killed in landslides at Maharashtra's Raigad. The government proposes OTT players set up a committee or an additional layer that would review scripts before a show or series is commissioned. Gives them 2 weeks to contemplate the proposal. Comes amid the centre raising concerns that OTT content is not aligned to Indian values and culture. Straight to all the action from Dalal Street. A last hour rally saw the market scale new peaks for the second day in a row. Sensex and Nifty gained over 0.5%. The Nifty is now only 20 points away from the 20,000 mark. Nigel D'Souza with all the market action.
Well, the Nifty almost went to around the 20,000 odd mark, but fell a little bit short. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the last 4 months, what a rally we have seen. From peak bearishness, we have moved to peak bullishness. The Nifty up more than 3,000 points. The Nifty Bank up more than 7,000 points. And in terms of total market capitalization, we have added more than 50 lakh crore rupees. Well, on the Nifty, these 3,000 points, well, they have primarily been contributed by big boy Reliance Industries, ITC, the two big banks in there, and even Bajaj Finance. So close to around 45% of the gains are on the back of these stocks itself. In absolute moves, you're talking about frontline Nifty names that have given you big returns. Tata Motors, IndusInd Bank, you have HDFC Life, Bajaj Finance, as well as Mahindra & Mahindra. Well, they have gained more than 30% just in the last 4 months or so. Well, you'll say the Nifty has done quite well. 3,000 points, 17.5%. The real party has been in the mid-cap and the small-cap space. And that's the absolute index that it's moved up by around 24 to around 27%. But individual names, they have moved very, very well. Frontline names, you know, if people who are throwing in the towel on Oro Pharma has given you more than 60% returns. Polycap, stellar numbers, that stock is up close to around 60%. And L&T Finance as well as Paytm, that's up more than 50%. But the list doesn't end there. You have a few more names that should come up for you on the screen. Patanjali Foods, PFC, IDFC First Bank, as well as Piramal Enterprises, all these names are up by close to around 50%. It doesn't end there. If you look at the small cap names, well, they've given you even better returns. You're not satisfied with 50-60% returns. Mazagon Dock, Suzlon, RVNL, Tanla, as well as BSE, all of them up more than 70%. And let's wind this down with a few more gainers from the small cap space that have given you big returns of more than 50%. Short point, last 4 months, what a rally we have seen. The Nifty up more than 3,000 points, market capitalization up more than 50 lakh crore rupees, telling you that the bulls, well, they have been charging ahead.
And Reliance has spinned off its financial services business. Jio Financial has been valued at about $20 billion as stock exchanges held a special 1-hour session for price discovery. Let's get you more news on that. Market values one share of Jio Financial at nearly 262 rupees, which is much higher than analyst estimates. Prashad Nair is joining us with the latest to give us a sense on what Jio Financial Services implied market cap could mean.
Well, so the demerger has happened and Jio Financial has been spun out of Reliance as a separate entity. Let's take a quick look at a few quick numbers. Now, Jio Financial Services demerged price was for Jio Financial Services was found at 261.85, which is, as you can see, based on subtracting the RIL price discovered in the pre-open session from yesterday's closing price. Now, Jio Financial Services potential market cap, right? The implied of the potential market cap of Jio Financial works out to 1.66 lakh crores. Basically, since the merger, the demerger ratio is 1:1, you just simply take the equity capital of Jio Financial Services, RIL x the treasury stock, 635.3 crore shares, multiply that with the discovered price, and you get the implied market cap, which is 1.66 lakh crore rupees. Now, this is what the market is implying, right? But the SOTP, based on what Jio Financial Services already has, also works out to not a very different number. And you can see the breakup really coming through here. Let's actually tell you, how I've broken this up. The reported net worth of Jio Financial is 28,100 crore rupees. From this, you subtract the cost of acquisition of this 6.1% stake in RIL. Right, the value of the stake is much bigger, but the cost of acquisition for Reliance or for Jio Financial is 17,000 crores. So the core net worth is 11,100 crore rupees. You can sort of lever that, give it a multiple of 3 times, and you're basically looking at a core book of 33,300 odd crores. Now there is the 6.1% stake, which you will value at the current share price of Reliance Industries. Now, taking RIL's market cap as 18 lakh crores, the 6.1% value works out to 1.1 lakh crore rupees. You basically add the, the 1.1 lakh crores and this number, the earlier number, 43,300, and you get the total number, which is 1.43 lakh crores. So, as you can see, there is not very much by way of a difference between what the market-derived value is and what the SOTP value is. You can change these numbers around. Instead of 3 times book, you can give it a 4 times book, and the numbers will change around. But as you even right now, there is not that much of a difference in terms of both these numbers. What next? As we've been saying, Jio Financial will remain part of the Nifty and the Sensex and other indices at a fixed price of 261.85 till it actually lists. So it will be the 51st stock on the Nifty, 31st stock on the Sensex. Of course, not traded. The price is fixed. And then it will be removed from all indices post-listing, subject to conditions, etc. We don't, as of now, of course, have a listing date for Jio Financial Services. Back to you.
On to earnings corner now. Infosys met street estimates in the first quarter, but had a sharp cut to its full-year growth outlook. Reema Tendulkar joins in with the key highlights.
Thanks so much for that. As you pointed out, despite an in-line steady first quarter, Infosys has gone ahead and sharply revised its top-line guidance. Earlier, they were anticipating that in FY24, revenue growth will be between 4 to 7%. But in just 3 months, that top-line guidance has been revised lower to 1 to 3.5%. So that's a very sharp cut that we've seen. That said, Q1 numbers are in line. The company's clocked in a constant currency revenue growth of 1%, slightly ahead of consensus expectations expectations and better than what peers had reported. Remember, for HCL and Wipro, constant currency revenues had declined. For TCS, it was absolutely flat. In contrast, at least Infy has seen a top-line growth of 1%. Margins are down 20 basis points to 20.8% versus 21%. Deal wins have picked up. Current quarter, they're at $2.3 billion. In the prior quarter, deal wins were at $2.1 billion. So deal wins is steady. The company's attrition has further eased down to 17.3%, and the net headcount continues to moderate. We've seen that with peers as well, but even for Infy, the net headcount, has come down by nearly 6,900 employees. But I think what's disappointed the street the most is that India's second largest IT company is actually going to see very, very feeble and meager growth in FY24, just 1 to 3.5%.
Had a good Q1, we've had good large and mega deals. We've also seen some of these deals, the signings and the start dates being delayed. With that, we see a lot of that revenue from that sort of large and mega deals towards the later part of the financial year. And through the quarter, we've seen volumes in some of our clients in the industries that I shared were impacted, where they were reducing transformational projects or slowing down decision making.
From IT to FMCG now, Hindustan Unilever marginally missed estimates in the first quarter. Manglam Malu has the details.
Well, HUL's first quarter performance are a mild miss as against street expectations. The street was working with a revenue growth of 8.5%. The company reported a revenue growth of just around 7%, and that was led by underlying volume growth of 3%. A number that the street was working with was close to around 5 to 6%. As a result of which, the EBITDA was below expectations, and as were the net profits of the company. Importantly, there was an improvement in the gross margins, but a large part of that was reinvested back in ad spends, which are now at around 10% of sales. And that's something that the management spoke about as well, where they foresee gross margin expansion, but a large part of that will be reinvested into ad spends, largely because competitive intensity in the market, specifically in some geographies and the mass category, has increased. In terms of segments, the home care business grew about 10%, beauty and personal care grew by almost 5%, largely in line with street expectations. It was the foods business which grew by around 4.5%, and the volumes out there were flat, led by weakness in their Horlicks business as well as the ice cream business that was impacted by unseasonal rains. By and large, it is a bit of a miss, but going forward, management does expect some sort of gradual recovery. Expect the stock to see some red.
The new MD and CEO of HUL, Rohit Java, spoke to the media for the first time. It has been less than a month since he took charge. Java said he wants to take HUL to the next level.
Very hopeful, very optimistic about the future. I think as far as the company is concerned, I've been now meeting consumers, customers. I've been around the category teams. I've spoken to functions. I've been to one factory or two. So I have a pretty good sense of the business. And I must say, having come back, I feel very, very proud of what's happened, and the business is in a great shape. It's a great business, very, very strong positions when it comes to market leadership positions of our brands. And my intention now going forward is to take this to the next level.
In global earnings, electric car maker Tesla reported a better than expected June quarter and notched a few records in quarterly revenue. However, gross margins dipped to 18.2%. And operating margins were below 10%, and that dented sentiment. Netflix added nearly 6 million subscribers in the June quarter on the back of its crackdown on password sharing. However, its revenues and guidance for the third quarter fell short of analyst expectations. Netflix has also announced that it is starting password sharing restrictions in India. Beginning today, only members of a household will be able to access a single account. Netflix has also allowed users sharing accounts the option of transferring their profile to a new account at the full subscription fee. The government has proposed that OTT players must set up a committee or an additional layer to review scripts before a show or a series is commissioned. The government has also given them 2 weeks to contemplate. Shibani Gharat has all the details.
OTT platforms have been given 15 days or 2 weeks' time to contemplate the Information and Broadcasting Ministry's proposal of forming a committee or an additional layer that would review scripts before a show or series is commissioned or goes under production. The move comes amidst concerns being raised by the government that content on OTT platforms is not aligned to the Indian values and culture. The committee, or the additional layer for self-regulation, will comprise of eminent members of the Indian broadcasting industry, lawyers, prominent figures. As a part of the committee, said a few people familiar with the proposal that is yet to be finalized. The ministry has not yet mentioned who can or cannot be a part of it. Now, we spoke with a few stakeholders and understood that this idea of having another body or layer was first tabled at a meeting in mid-June, where all of the stakeholders said that no, self-regulation model is working just fine. But the Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur reportedly told representatives of OTT platforms, including the likes of Netflix, Disney Plus Hotstar, Amazon Prime, amongst others, that there can't be vulgarity in the name of creativity just because there is self-regulatory mechanism for OTT platforms. And then INB Ministry was also concerned about naming and shaming one religion, which needs to stop, and then stereotyping India and Indian culture also needs to stop on these platforms. Now, the OTT platforms are clearly not happy with this, and some of them we spoke to believe additional regulation might hinder the potential growth and expansion of these platforms. They also fear that this will lengthen the overall creative process. Plus, the oversight when it comes to content applied to the entire pool of content available for viewership in India may lead to privacy and a huge revenue loss for these platforms, which is fair to say, considering that this industry is fairly new and still at a nascent stage.
A quick look at more headlines now. Share of asset management company surged in early trade. This after sources told CNBC-TV18 that SEBI was planning to float a new consultation paper on mutual fund expense ratio norms within a week. The government has imposed a ban on non-basmati rice exports to bring down domestic prices. However, some shipments will be allowed to countries to meet their food security needs. India and Japan have signed a memorandum of understanding for the development of semiconductors. The deal covers areas of cooperation, design, manufacturing, research, supply chain resilience. Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said many Indian companies are in talks to collaborate with their Japanese counterparts. Time for a short break here on India Business Hour, but coming up, the Supreme Court takes motor cognizance of the video showing two women being paraded naked and sexually assaulted in the state of Manipur. Details when we are back. Big national story now. Outrage across the nation after a video goes viral on social media showing two women in Manipur being paraded naked and sexually assaulted. Opposition leaders, including Manish Tiwari of the Congress and Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Shiv Sena, filed motions in Parliament to suspend business to make way for a discussion on the situation in the state. CNBC-TV18 Sante Agora now reports.
Ruckus in Parliament on the first day of the monsoon session, and both houses had to be adjourned twice. At the centre of this ruckus is the deteriorating law and order situation in Manipur.
92 देखिए, बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है पिछले 77 दिन से जो परिस्थितियां बनी हुई हैं मणिपुर में, और इसीलिए आज संसद का मानसून सत्र शुरू हो रहा है। दोनों सदनों में एक संवेदनशील और एक जिम्मेदार बहस होनी चाहिए। अगर सरकार तैयार है तो सारा काम छोड़कर सबसे पहले इसके ऊपर चर्चा होनी चाहिए।
15 opposition MPs had filed suspension of business notices in Parliament under Rule 267 early in the day to hold discussions on Manipur. The rules require the Prime Minister to make a statement based on which discussions would begin. Opposition leaders say these notices were ignored and the government tried to move ahead with regular business.
The political furor started after a video showing atrocities being committed by a group of Manipuri men allegedly from Meitei community against two Manipuri women allegedly from Kuki community went viral on social media. These two predominantly Manipuri communities have been involved in clashes over the last 79 days. The fact that no FIR was filed in the jurisdiction where the incident allegedly took place for over 15 days after the incident on May 4th has added to the outrage. When an FIR was finally filed, it was filed in another jurisdiction and was subsequently transferred to the concerned police station only on 21st of June, nearly 7 weeks after the incident.
The FIR alleges that a group of 900 to 1,000 Metis men entered B. Finam village on May 4th and vandalized and burned houses. 5 villagers, 3 women and 2 men fled into the forest where they were rescued by the police. However, the mob blocked the police and took the 5 villagers into their custody. The FIR also alleges that the 2 men were then killed while the 3 women were sexually humiliated and assaulted. It further alleges that one of the women was gang raped. Hours after the video went viral and sparked widespread outrage, the Manipur police tweeted that all efforts were being made to arrest the culprits, and on Thursday morning, it claimed the first arrest had been made.
स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इतना भी ट्राई करेंगे कि एफर्ट देंगे कि जो भी एविडेंस वगैरह करके वो जैसे वाला कल्प्रिट को, जैसे वाला क्राइम जो कर रहा है, ऐसे वाला को सजा जैसे मौत का सजा दे.
The continued violence in the state and this latest incident have refueled demands for Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh's resignation. The outrage also prompted the Prime Minister to speak up.
मेरा हृदय पीड़ा से भरा हुआ है, क्रोध से भरा हुआ है. मणिपुर की जो घटना सामने आई है, किसी भी सभ्य समाज के लिए ये शर्मसार करने वाली घटना है. बेइज्जती पूरे देश की हो रही है. 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को शर्मसार होना पड़ रहा है. मैं सभी मुख्यमंत्रियों से आग्रह करता हूं कि वे अपने राज्य में कानून व्यवस्था को और मजबूत करें, खास करके हमारी माताओं बहनों की रक्षा के लिए कठोर से कठोर कदम उठाएं.
But opposition leaders say it's too little, too late.
शर्मसार होना चाहिए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को, डबल इंजन सरकार को, प्रधानमंत्री को. 77 दिन मुंह नहीं खोले, जबान पर बात नहीं आई मणिपुर की. सदन के सामने उनको जाना पड़ रहा है और इसलिए अभी दिल में क्रोध है.
Meanwhile, internet services in the state remain suspended. Reports also quote government sources as saying the centre has ordered Twitter and other social media platforms to not allow such videos on their platforms. CNBC-TV18 has not independently confirmed this directive. Meanwhile, there are also allegations that the local police in Manipur were complicit in the incident in question. The centre and the Manipur government have promised more quick action against the perpetrators. In Mumbai, Santiagora.
It's an incident which has indeed shocked the nation. The Supreme Court took suo cognizance of the video from Manipur as well. The Chief Justice of India warned that if the government does not act, the court will. Ashmit Kumar joins us now.
This was a suo motu consideration where the chief said that it's important for the Supreme Court to oversee these proceedings, which are extremely, deeply disturbing. That's the language used. The Chief Justice of India made his position completely clear that this is simply unacceptable, the situation that is currently existing in Manipur. He, in fact, went on to say that the Manipur government as well as the central government need to get the act together, and if not, the Supreme Court will not be shy of jumping in. He went on to recount his own experience, saying that when he saw the visuals, they were deeply disturbing. Visuals of women, naked women being paraded, assaulted, molested, raped and killed. This was simply deeply disturbing, the Chief Justice said. He further went on to say that using women as instruments of perpetrated violence was simply impermissible in a constitutional setup that we have here in the country. Constitutional morality simply does not allow room for such actions to take place now or in the future. And towards that end, what the Chief Justice has said is that he's given a short leash. July 28th, that's the time that has been put across to the Attorney General as well as to the Solicitor General to come back with a response on the action that has been taken against the perpetrators and what actions have been taken to ensure that this does not repeat itself.
Thanks, Ashmit, for joining us. And you can catch more of our Manipur coverage on News Centre at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV18. Moving on, Wrestling Federation of India Chief Brij Bhushan Singh has been granted bail by a Delhi High Court in the case alleging sexual harassment of women wrestlers. Singh has been directed to furnish bail bonds worth 25,000 rupees. The court also directed the accused not to offer any inducement to witnesses in the case. The case will now be heard on the 28th of July. Moving to Maharashtra, where at least 16 people have died after a landslide in Irshalwadi, a village in Maharashtra's Raigad district. 21 have been rescued alive. Many more are feared to be trapped under the debris. Yesha Kotak reports.
We are right here at the Irshalwadi village where this particular landslide took place late last night. Around 11:30 p.m. was when the landslide took place. Now the NDRF team has called off its rescue operation. You can see the team coming down all the way from the top. The hill that you see, in fact, behind this hill, the one that's covered in fog, is where the incident took place late last night. Ever since then, rescue operation is constantly on. It will begin again tomorrow at 5 a.m. Right now, the challenges that are being faced by the NDRF team is that there is very low visibility.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC-TV18.